Hello, and welcome to this very short film about how to plan for your single English Macbeth GCSE controlled assessment. So we're going to reflect on context, we're going to look at how to analyse quotations. They're the main things that I'm going to take you through. Right, first of all then, to start with context, I'll do a separate one about how to write analysis up into paragraphs. In terms of context, important to think about, when we wrote about Of Mice and Men, the important context we looked at was about the Great Depression and the American Dream, okay, and what Lenny represented alongside those things. What do we know about Macbeth? What might be important about the society in which it was written? Well, there's loads of stuff you could go into here, but because we've got a very focused essay to go through, we're going to think about two things. One is the divine right of kings, which very briefly suggests that in Shakespeare's day, audiences would have believed that kings were second only to God, really, in this sort of chain of importance. So most important would be God, then you'd have the angels, then you'd have kings and royalty. So the idea was that God had chosen the kings, and they were sort of holy, if you see what I mean, more so than ordinary men who came next, and then women, and then animals. Alright, so we need to think about the divine right of kings, this belief that people had in Shakespeare's day, and how that affects our scene, how it makes it even more shocking, I suppose. Second thing to consider is the role of women, who in Shakespeare's time would have been regarded as pretty powerless. They wouldn't have been expected to make decisions, they wouldn't have been expected to debate with or argue with their husbands. They'd been expected very much to do what they were told. And of course, Lady Macbeth arguably is very much not like that. Right, the activity. So, having done the context bit, two things to think about. And as I say, there's more you could do, but that's where we'll leave it for this very short essay of only 600 words. So, moving on to learning to analyse quotations from a play in depth, or from this play in particular. Dead easy method to do this. Right, use this sheet, a sheet like this. You can print it, or you can just get a blank sheet and put these words in the corner. Language, delivery, context, and alternatives. To do this well, you were looking for clear points made about each of the criteria, clear points about language, delivery, context, alternatives. Excellence, though, as is often the case, we're looking for increasingly precise, developed, and extended points. I'll show you what I mean. You put your quotation in the middle. In this case, I've gone for that which hath made me them drunk, hath made me bold. What hath quenched them, hath given me fire, which is about Lady Macbeth. Well, she says that when she's alone on stage at the beginning. Language, you pick out what's important about the language of this quote. Now, I've gone for, as a model, this word fire, this imagery here. Use of imagery, and I've suggested that fire shows passion and anger from Lady Macbeth. You could go more, you could go further, you could talk about violence and things like that. Also, or like damage that fire does, it's a dangerous thing, isn't it? Also, I've said it uses contrast, so between quenched and fire, and this shows herself, shows how she sees herself as special or as different or as important. Everyone else has been made drunk by the drink that they've had. It's made her strong and brave. Line delivery, well, what could you say? Would it make sense for it to be angry and excited? See, this is where you have to choose. There's no right answer here. Perhaps we're getting her first signs of madness here. For example, she could laugh or giggle in her excitement, a bit like Judi Dench does in her version. Also, you could think in this bit about the lighting. It would be dark. I was thinking maybe she could turn to a kind of fireplace for the second line and have fiery lighting on her face, fiery red lighting. But, whatever you want to put into here. Context, you'd say it'd be shocking for Shakespeare's audience, as it's unusual to see a woman presented as so strong. Unusual for a woman to be seen as stronger and braver than the men that are around her. Okay, so that would be unusual and sort of surprising for Shakespeare's audience, and compelling and interesting for Shakespeare's audience. And then what about alternatives? How about saying, excuse me, my thing's gone a bit wrong. How about saying this? You could actually have her as actually drunk and out of control, staggering around like a drunk who's become overconfident. That's about looking at the quote and thinking, how could it be done differently? So not necessarily angrily, but you could do it in a drunken way, and you'd think about the implications of the effects that would cause. Right, that's it.